The House Government Operations Committee will come to order. Would the clerk please take attendance?
Chair Liberati.
Here.
Representative Spahutsky. Here. McFall.
Here.
Posthumous.
Here.
Green. Here. Mr. Chair, you have 5 members present. You have a quorum.
Representative McFall moves to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. Hearing no objection, the minutes are approved. First up, we're going to be taking up House Bill 4519. Representative Scott's here to testify. Bring up your guests whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Liberati. I appreciate it. I also have here with me today Lydia Teasley, who is actually the daughter of Ron Teasley, one of the oldest living original Negro Leaguers in the state of Michigan. Okay, so I'll start. Thank you. Hello, Committee Chair Liberati and members. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak today and give testimony on behalf of my House Bill 4519 to designate May 2nd of each year as Negro Leagues Day in the state of Michigan. First, I'd like to give you a bit of background on the Negro League Day. And then I'd like to explain the importance of designating it as a holiday where we should acknowledge every year in our state. This bill honors the outstanding black athletes who played the game and excelled in the face of extremely challenging circumstances. For decades, despite terrible prejudice and discrimination, black athletes pursued greatness in the sport of baseball. There is truly a great deal of significance to the history of the Negro League Baseball in Michigan. Michigan gave birth to 2 significant teams. The first is the Page Fence Giants, based in Adrian, Michigan, in 1895. Performing as one of the nation's top teams in the Negro League, there was also another, it was named after the Page Woven Wire Fence Company in Adrian, and its founder, J. Wallace Page. The other team is the Detroit Stars, that was founded in 1919 with one of the only black surviving owners, who actually is a woman, Minnie Forbes, and she's 91 years old, and she still resides in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So, allow me to share 2 prime examples of black baseball players who were very successful in the sport, despite the circumstances of their time. So first of all, we have Hall of Famer center Norman Turkey Stearns, who played for the Detroit Stars during the 1920s, and he was an extremely talented player who ranked among all-time Negro League leaders in nearly every batting category. He prevailed even though he was shut out of playing in the majors. In fact, Turkey helped pave the way for the integration of the Major League Baseball by exemplifying outstanding courage and black excellence. Our own Detroit Tigers has a permanent plaque for Norman Turkey Stearns at Comerica Park. And in 2020, the Hamtramck City Council voted to change the name of Hamtramck Stadium to honor Turkey's legacy, now known as Norman Turkey Stearns Field, at the historic Hamtramck Stadium. Also, I might add that Governor Whitmer recently awarded the Friends of Historic Hamtramck Stadium with the Governor's Award for historic preservation of that field. Another Negro League player, one who is especially dear to my heart, is Ron Teasley. He is 96 years young. He is the oldest surviving player from Michigan, and I'm also proud to say that he's my great uncle. Ron played at Hamtramck Stadium, and he continues to make an impact to this day through the Ron and Marie Teasley Foundation, which supports youth development through education, sports, and scholarships. So, as you can see, we have Negro League players and owners to honor why we have this Michigan roots. The spirit of the league remains alive and vibrant here in Michigan. Let's all keep in mind that when the athletes were shut out of the majors, and they still found a way to play the game, and they played it well. This bill will honor those great athletes who found a way to play the game and excel in the face of the most challenging circumstances when white supremacy defined so much of American life. The Negro League showed that white supremacy would not define them. The league and its players' influence were exceptional. Their legacy is a part of what makes the fabric of America strong. Without the Negro League, Major League Baseball wouldn't be, and I repeat, it would not be what it is today. In fact, America wouldn't be the country that it is today. That's why this bill is so important to me and other Black Michiganders. Thank you.
Thank you, Rep. Scott, so much for your awesome dedication, and to all your colleagues who supported May 2nd as Negro Leagues Day in Michigan. This is a major home run. I want to thank my Negro Leagues Family Alliance for making this also their first initiative. It is so important that we continue to preserve and protect the rich history of Negro Leagues baseball. As Helena mentioned, my dad, Ron Schoolboy Teasley, now 96 years old, played with the New York Cubans and the Brooklyn Dodgers after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. He often tells stories about the struggles they endured, but he also smiles about the passion of the players and the game day celebrations. And now, every May 2nd, we can celebrate with the Detroit Tigers, and hopefully other MLB teams and other states will step up to the plate. Also, joining me today is Joyce Stearns. I think her sister Rosalind is on the way, but also she's Turkey Stearns' daughter, who's one of the greatest Hall of Fame legends in baseball. So I wanted Joyce to please stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. I have a question. How many states had teams?
Do you know that history?
Do you know, Joyce? How many states had teams? Yeah.
Yeah. Approximately about 18.
18. Any other questions?
Hi, thank you very much for your testimony. I'm a huge history buff, so I love hearing about this, so that's great. Is there a significance about May 2nd, or is it just that the Major League Baseball adopted that? Okay.
So May 2nd was 1920 was the first Negro game ever played. Yeah. So that's why we said May 2nd would be a great day. Thank you. And this year the Tigers did allow us to have a game May 2nd. They were really gracious and on board. Got rained out. But however, we did have a panel discussion, and they were very on board with everything, and you know, we still got together and had a good time this past May 2nd.
All right. Thank you for sharing your story.
Sure, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, next we have House Bill 4388. Testifying on that is Representative Roth. Whenever you're ready. Oh, are there any cards for that?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Liberati and committee members. We appreciate it. We really appreciate the opportunity to discuss this important issue. We all understand the importance of avoiding leaks of underground storage tanks, of fuel underground storage tanks. Let's be clear about that. Contaminated land is blighted. It's unhealthy. It's unhealthy for anyone that lives around it, and neighboring properties get devalued because of these leaks. So the federal and state government have been inspecting these for over 40 years. Each tank requires inspections every 3 years by LARA, weekly walkarounds and walkthroughs, monthly, quarterly, and annual reports. These are reported on paper and kept on hand for 3 years. Across Michigan, there's thousands of binders and file cabinets full of paper. It's 2023. It's time. There's an app for everything today, but we're relying on paper as something as important as underground storage tanks. More and more, we are using online forms for everything from mortgage applications to health checkups. It's time to bring this part of the government reporting to today's standards and expectations. I just was with the craft beer people. Everything's online for them today, but underground storage tanks are still paper. This affected me. I was a marina operator, and one of my former marinas that I operated had fuel tanks, underground fuel tanks, where I literally stuck them each day, morning and night, did it get in the next morning, make sure there's no leaks, and had to keep this paperwork in file. It's silly that we can't do this electronically. So Casey's here. He will expand on what I'm talking about, and I'd love to turn it over to Casey's.
Thank you, Chairman and members. My name is Casey Smith. I hold a BS in geological engineering and have spent most of my career designing, installing, removing, maintaining, and training people on how to properly use underground storage tanks. I hold 4 patents related to the inspection and operation of these tanks, with a 5th pending for a new pipe fitting that will help make pipe leak less. Our House Bill 4388 is a bipartisan bill, and it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for the environment, because when we get these electronic software-based inspections, we're going to make sure that they're done. As it is right now, if you only stop by every 3 years and look at a binder, you don't know if that paper was put in there today, yesterday, or 3 years ago. We think that's one place where we have a lot of leaks. Also, with the environment, we're reporting about almost 200 leaks a year, releases from these tanks, which is costing the taxpayers of Michigan millions and millions of dollars, not to mention what you said about the property values declining. It's a win-win for Michiganders, because if we can stop spending these millions of dollars cleaning up, those funds could be used for anything else. It's a win for business, because it's onerous to keep a 3-ring binder and keep those records somewhere, where if it was electronic, it would be easy to access, be easy to turn over to the regulators when they ask for them, and they wouldn't have to drive out to your site to look at them. And in the end, it's a win-win for the government, because they're tasked with making sure that we don't have releases, and they just can't do it under the present system. They can't see enough sites. They're behind on inspections. In 2022, it was reported that they were behind thousands of inspections. We have 8,000 leaking tanks in the state. The only way to get a handle on that is to digitize it and work on it smartly. And you can do that now from your office, rather than driving all over the state to make sure that these sites are being kept up.
And I would share in the marine experience I had. My 7 years there, I don't remember Laura ever coming out to inspect the tanks, ever. We did have a leak. We caught it. Wasn't as quick. It took a month to catch this activity. Today's regulations are a little different. If you install new tanks and lines to a marina, everything's double walled with monitoring devices. At the time, we didn't have that. So it took us a month to figure out that we had lost gallons out the pipe. The tanks didn't leak, the pipes did. So every time we fueled a boat, we're losing fuel and not even knowing that. Because the tank every day stayed the same. It wasn't until the end of the month that we actually realized we're down 100 gallons. So these systems are so much better, but I think we'd be able to detect leak issues much quicker if they're done electronically.
We still have catastrophic leaks. Flat Rock was a perfect example, where we had to evacuate an entire town because of a leak from an underground storage tank system. That should have been stopped. It could, I won't go into all the details, but anytime you have a catastrophic leak, there's a reason and there's a way to have stopped it. We coulda, woulda, shoulda. This is a bill that's a coulda, woulda, shoulda. If we pass this bill and we do these accurate inspections when they're due, I believe we'll stop the vast majority of leaks that could happen in the future.
Are you happy to take any questions, Mr. Chairman?
Right now, there's just a hard copy at the marina. You don't have to send it in, so an inspector's got to drive all the way to wherever all these tanks are. How many tanks are we talking?
18,000 tanks in the state of Michigan require inspection.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm
I know that if there is a leak, then Eagle gets involved. Would Eagle also have access to this data? Would it be helpful in terms of remediation? But I just know sometimes when we have data for one department, we silo it and make it more difficult. This seems intuitive. It seems like it would be helpful for everybody, but would Eagle, in cases of having to remediate one of these issues, would they have access to the data electronically as well?
You know, that would be up to the government how they would like to share it in between departments. I think what we're trying to do is get a policy where the individual owner-operators use this data that's accessible to the regulators, and the regulators can make sure they're using it. Now, under 214, you could certainly send it over to Eagle when there's a release, and then they could look at it. One of the benefits of this software is that it would list all the parts and pieces, make, model, serial number. This is the only way that you can find out if you've got a systemic problem. Maybe we have a manufacturer that had something that was manufactured that doesn't fit today's use, especially with new fuels, those sorts of things. So this could solve so many problems once it's digital.
That's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And there being no absent members and no further business before the committee? Oh, sorry. I got cards to read in. Are these both supporting? Wait, what's that? I'm sorry. We have someone who wishes to speak in support of the bill. Casey Smith? Oh, yeah, he's got it. Okay. Not wishing to speak, but in support, Neil DeSouza. That's from Lara. They're neutral on the bill. And in opposition of the bill is Pete Langley, Representative Mark Griffin, CMI Petroleum Association. Now with that, no excused members, or no absent members, there are no further business. The committee is adjourned.